Good day to everyone. I am Pastor Inseka. We're back here with the For the Gambia podcast. We have another guest here today who doesn't need any introduction. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who he is. But personally, he's somebody that is that has somebody that I've always looked up to. Somebody that has had a big impact in my life, especially in what I'm doing right now. He's none other than Coach Pasamba. I'm pretty sure that everybody who has been following the struggle for the past 20 years or so have heard him, or some of you may have seen him. But for those who have never seen him before, I will give you the opportunity today to to take a look at him. So without further ado, I will just go ahead and introduce my uncle, my friend, Coach Pasamba. Coachy, welcome to the For the Gambia podcast.
Well, thank you so very much, Pastor. It is definitely an honor to be here, and I have been a keen follower of your program together with Mr. Moro Thomas, and I must say that you guys are doing a very great job. In fact, a very, very important job of documenting happenings in our country and giving people who've contributed immensely, not me, but others, to our national development a chance to at least say something to the Gambia people.
All right. Just like we normally do it, we will give you the chance to introduce yourself to the folks out there who may not know a whole lot about you. I'm pretty sure they've all heard you on the airwaves, but they may not know who the true Pasamba is. From your humble beginnings to where you are today. If you don't mind, just go ahead and briefly talk about that for a little bit.
Well, I am Pasamba. I was born at Royal Victoria Hospital, Banjul, raised in New Jeshwang, Serekunda. I am the son of Awolo and Lamin Jau, both Gambians. And my grandparents, maternal grandparents, were Sadaga Gay, who I am named after, and Adama Gay. Those are my paternal, sorry, Adama Gay, and Mafal Jau, and my maternal side, Mademba Kani, and Madembolo, and Yanjayambo. I am a Gambian, and I don't know. Went to school in the Gambia, went to St. Teresa's, St. Augustine, St. George's, and went to school here in the United States, did some college education in Minnesota and in Maryland. And people who know me to be somebody who loves sports and politics and community activism. That's pretty much who I am.
How about your childhood? Can you tell us some things that you may remember about your childhood? What kind of child you think you were? You know, what were some of the things that you did that I know it's been a long time because you're such an old man. You probably may not remember everything, but just some of the things that you can remember.
Yeah, I had a very interesting childhood. Definitely growing up in New Jeshwang, surrounded by very interesting people. We did a lot of sports and cultural activities. I remember playing football for a team called Jantos, which was managed by Keba Mane. I also remembered participating immensely in cultural activities, you know, the huntings, the gese and mostly the fanals. I did all that, and but I was surrounded by a very loving family. I came from a very, very, very large family. We were all one, you know, the aunts, the uncles, the nieces and nephews, and cousins and all that. So we've always, I was lucky to have been up in a family that really showed nothing but love for each other. My father had three siblings, two aunts and a brother. And so we were always together, and sometimes you would not even know which house was yours. And it was nice, definitely. I had a very, 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 very good childhood honestly. I have had some mishaps. I remember when I was very young, we went to the river in Old Jeshwang, and my best friend at the time, Usainu Fall, drowned, and I was saved. And up to this day, I do not swim because that has still stuck with me. So that is one of the early memories of my life, and it's a horrible memory that would never leave me because of somebody I cared about so much died, and I really escaped death on that very day. But otherwise, I had a very, very eventful life so far.
Wow. Well, it looks like there was a chance that we would have not been able to know who Pasamba Joe is today. But thank God, he's here. So that's good. But I mean, if you talk about Pasamba Joe today, what we know him as is as a human rights activist, as a political activist, and you've been doing this pretty much all your life. You are familiar to me. I grew up seeing you in this. For the folks out there who may not know what got you into this and how this all started, how will you explain how this started, in your life?
That's a very interesting question. I have a cousin, a first cousin, Lai Sohna, who was raised by my dad. And Lai was this man who was interested in everything, politics and sports and everything, and was very good at organizing people. But he also had friends. One of the friends was Tumo Saho, that most people may know, who was with Mojiji, was also a victim of Yaya Jammeh. But he was someone who was very active in politics, and there was another friend of Lai's, dear friend, Mam Demba. I think he passed away. So I used to be around these people and hear them talk about politics. This was the anti-Jawara days. And that really piqued my interest in it. But growing up too in Serekunda, in New Joseph, we had somebody, Yai Setusar, the mother of Keba Mane, who was a Yai companion for A.A. Jai. So A.A. Jai used to frequent our neighborhood. So everything we did at that time had politics in it. But everything really got to the point that it got to when DOI was formed. I remember when Mo Sow, who stayed with the ISFR, came one day and brought posters that said PDOIS. I didn't even know what it was then. And the old lady was mad. Get those things out of my house. So, that developed an interest. So I finally got to listen to Doi, a Doi rally, and then developed a relationship with Halifa and the others, and later worked with some other colleagues to start Amnesty International in the Gambia and all that. So that really brought my interest in politics and in human rights. So definitely that's where it really started.
Well, somebody that you've just touched on is Honorable Halifa Sallah.
Yes.
Those of us who know you very well know your relationship with Halifa, and it's been years and years and years now. So, what can you tell us about how you came to know Halifa, and what's your current relationship with him now?
Yeah, I came to know Halifa, of course, through Doi. But then I used to go to the Doi Bureau in Churchillstown to visit him. And he was always very open to me, and would take time out of his very busy schedule, because at that time the Fourier Bureau was always extremely busy. They were always typing and writing and doing all that. But he always found time to sit with me, to talk to me. So he became a mentor in a way. And we developed a very, very strong bond and a very, very strong relationship and friendship that is still there to this day. So my relationship with him today is still very good. We do talk from time to time on issues pertaining to the Gambia and all that. So to me, he's still a friend. He's still a mentor, and he is still somebody I really would credit with a lot of things that I'm doing today. And there are people who always tell me when they hear me speak, they were like, well, you just sound like Halifa. But to me, he is a very committed Gambian. You may disagree with his politics. One thing that you may never disagree with is his love for country. Because throughout the period that I've known this guy, Halifa has been preoccupied with one thing and one thing only, that is Gambia, nothing else. So we have a very, very good relationship, and I am glad that I was able to have that relationship that have been very strong since.
Now, of course, you were there when the '94 coup d'etat happened,
Yes,
and you were also in activism before '94.
yes,
Most people don't know that. You used to, you know, voice your opinions back in the PPP days.
yes.
Some of the injustices that were happening, which most people did not know about at that time, and even now, most people don't think that there were things that were happening back in the PPP days. What can you tell us about some of the things that you may remember during the PPP days?
Yeah, the PPP days, the issue here is it has never been as bad as Jammeh. It was not even close to that. But one thing that Doi was able to do is to inject in us the idea of respecting constitution. So we were always very vigilant about the constitution to see whether there were anywhere that they would go that would be in violation of the constitution. So, the police beating people, that may not have been something that the PPP had asked people to do, but these are things that happened, and we used to really challenge them on that. But I think the darkest period of the PPP era was after the 1981 coup, when a lot of Gambians were rounded up, thinking that they were part of the coup. There was a state of emergency that was in place, and the tortures that happened at the Mile 2 prisons. Most people did not know this, but a lot of people, the Sirif Divas of the world, the Halifa Salahs of the world, the Samsars of the world, the Amisilas of the world, and a lot of other people went through very, very horrible period at the Mile 2 prisons. And I think this was what warranted Halifa to write, together with Sam, in 1983-84, an emergency situation, how many more will have to die at the Mile 2 prisons, in which they catalogued some of the atrocities that were happening there. So these were things that we used to talk about. But during that era too, when I started speaking out, we focused mostly on issues that were mostly economical issues, like corruption, like mismanagement of our resources, like the high level of poverty, and like the neglect of some of these infrastructures. So these are things that we were talking about at that period, but Jame took it to an extremely different level.
Wow. Well, so right after that, Jammeh took over,
Yes.
July 1994.
Yes.
Where were you when the coup d'etat happened, and what was your reaction?
I was at work. I then worked at the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, and our driver came back and said that he was trying to go to Banjul, but all the roads were blocked, so he could not go to Banjul. So I'm like, I left work, and I remember I went to the bureau, the DOI office, because after a while they cut all the telephone, so you could not call. And I spoke to them, so we were all gathering information as to what was happening. And I remember I was at our junction, which is the Westfield Junction. So there were soldiers there with their guns and stuff. So I'm like, what is going on? They would not tell me. So I'm like, can I follow you guys to the camp to know what is going on? Because then I also worked as a newspaper reporter. I was working for New Citizen newspaper, and they would not allow us to do that. But it didn't. We then information started coming out that actually it was a coup. I think it was around 6 p.m. when an announcement was made on Radio 1 FM. If I remember, it was done by Barrow, that actually it was a coup. And I was not surprised that there was a coup, but I was angry that there was a coup, because in spite of the fact that I was anti-Jawara, I just did not trust the military at that time. Maybe it was just out of sheer luck, but I never trusted them. And for the first time in my life, there I was sitting, hoping that maybe the Senegalese would intervene to stop this. And of course, we know what transpired after that. And nobody came. Abdou Diouf was mad at Jawara because of confederation. And 22 years later, we have bodies being exhumed in that country who were killed by the Jammeh regime.
So now you came here in the States a year after the coup.
Yes.
Was your life in danger in any way at that time when you were in Gambia? That warranted you coming to the States?
Yeah, it was very interesting because I was first supposed to come to the United States in 1994 during the World Cup. That was before Jammeh came to power. But I did not come, and I was supposed to come as a reporter to cover the World Cup. But after the coup happened, I was one of few Gambians who were vigorously opposed to the coup. And I remember there was a program on Radio 1 FM that the late George Christensen, had. It was on Fridays. They called it Wahante Digate Yalata. And we used to call into the radio station to voice our opinions about the coup. And I was always vehemently opposed to the AFPRC regime. I even remember when Jammeh decided that he was calling Gambians to go to the Independence Stadium so that he would address the nation. I went on the radio and said, you know what, nobody has to waste their time and go there. If he wants to address the nation, he can do it on the radio and people will listen to him. So it was an interesting period. But then what had happened was Sana Sabali was very close to Musasi. Musasi was like a mentor to me. And Musasi saw me in Birkama. I was in Birkama. They were saying that there was supposed to be, I think, a protest. They had something with water or tap water or something. So I went there. So I met Musasi and he was, oh, coach, I needed to see you. So I'm like, okay. He was, you know what, Sana had contacted me and said that the only reason that they have not come for you is because of the relationship that you have with me. And they really want you to tone it down. I'm like, Mose, I'm not going to do that. There are only two things that they can do to me. Either kill me, which is why they have the bullets, or put me in jail, which is why the jail is built. But I'm not going to keep quiet. But things continued happening. And one interesting day, I was at the Independence Stadium. I was sitting, and this guy who used to play football saw me and said, you know what, man, he's a military guy. I cannot wait for the orders to be given to come after you. I'll be the first one to come and get you. But these things all happened. I didn't care anyway. But then I had two friends who I worked with at the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. One was Mr. Peter Wilborn, and the other was, I forgot the name, Julia Harrington. We used to call her Juju Kamara. And they were, what, I think what is going on here is very dangerous. Or maybe, it will not be a good idea to continue to be here. Maybe they know something that I didn't know. So that led to my decision to come to the United States and have been here since then.
So right after you came, I'm sure there was some folks here before you who were also in this, what we now call the struggle.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was not as it is today with the online radios now, with the Facebooks and all of these things.
No.
You guys didn't have that back in those days. Can you just give us a brief history of how it was back in those days in the 90s?
Yes, I always say that the struggle started in the Gambia. The resistance against Jammeh started in the Gambia. It did not start in the diaspora. And the diaspora struggle started with Jawara and his clique, because they were interested in coming back. And Jawara was very active together with the Sarah Janghas of the world and others, going around for the judges and all others, going around the world, the UK, the US, trying to get people to pay attention to our situation. So they started the struggle, and that led to the formation of the movement for the restoration of democracy in the Gambia, the UK branch, which was later replicated here in the United States by the Young Jammehs of the world and the Soul Bangers of the world in New York. But then the politics, it was not a struggle because what it was, you had people who wanted to give Jam a chance, and you had people who wanted Jawara to come back. So that was the so people. The whole thing was looked at from that angle. So some of us were like in the middle because I could not join the MRDG New York group because to me I was seeing it as an PPP extension. That's how I saw it. So I'm like, I'm not going to be part of this because I'm not interested in having the PPP back. What I'm interested in is having an end to what Jammeh was doing. So and for a very long time, the focus was on politics. You know, whether Jammeh can be defeated when after, especially after 1996, when he said, "Okay, we're going to the polls." They went to the polls, and then UDP did very well, and all that. So people looked at it from a political point of view. You know, we can defeat him. So the focus on human rights was very minimal, if you look at it. Even though 1994 he had killed a lot of people. November 1994, the soldiers. But people were their soldiers. He had also killed in 1995 Korosisi. People started talking, but the talking was not much. But then during that period, the Gambian was established. And people had an opportunity to go there and talk. But the whole debate centered almost around PPP, APRC, and all that. So we focus on politics until I think it got to a period where people really started focusing on human rights. I think was when the students were killed in 2000. Mm-hmm. But I remember in 1996, the first opportunity that I had in this country to talk about the Gambian situation outside of Gambians was when I was invited at the WBAI Pacifica Radio to talk about the situation in the Gambia. And my address to that situation was dealing with the arrest of Hussein Njai, O.J. Jallo, and others who were protesting. They said they were going to protest at the American embassy. So they were arrested. So, and it was also in response to Minister Louis Farrakhan, who had visited the Gambia and came and made all these lousy statements about how everything was great. So I was invited to go there and talk about the situation. It was a 1-hour program. And then we ended up establishing a great relationship with that guy, Elombe, the late Elombe Breath. We used to have Africa Kaleidoscope, that was the program. And then later I was invited by the Fordham University Law School to talk about the situation in the Gambia. And I believe the centerpiece of my discussion, it was supposed to be media right in the Gambia, but I changed it to focus on other human rights violations because, and I remember taking there the video of the UDP militants who were tortured, the Wasajanes of this world, by the soldiers because they were found sitting in a place and meeting, and they said they were violating the laws and all that stuff and tortured them mercilessly. So I decided that I was going to bring that to the fore and was able to discuss it and left the video there and all that. And as time went on, connections started happening here and there, and we went on to start SDGDP, the Save the Gambia Democracy Project, which was a brainchild of Dr. Sen, who wrote after the 2001 elections that it was important to set up this framework where Gambians would contribute anywhere from $5 a month to whatever they can to raise funds so that we can have a coalition of political parties for the subsequent elections so that we can defeat it. So you see how much people felt that elections was the way to go. And if I can continue, because it's a long thing. Mm-hmm. And then eventually in 2003, around April of 2003, I was contacted by Musa Jang, of Atlanta. A human banker had been really trying to get Ajera to organize a symposium that would bring political parties. The first attempt was, okay, they wanted Halifa Sallah here. And after the next day I spoke to him, he was, you know what, actually, they want to change it to meet the Diaspora Summit. And that is to invite all political parties here in Atlanta. And when that happened, I'm like, you know what, this is a good opportunity because we've been talking about bringing all the opposition parties together. Maybe this is one way that we can have a summit too for the opposition. So I worked with Musa Jeng, banker, and the Joe Sambos of the world, and then we contacted a lot of other people to do that. But it was challenging, difficult, until Joe Sambo went to Atlanta. I think it was a naming ceremony for Balatal, and then met with Keba Fun. And Keba was, you know what, I would help in putting this together. More drama was, I would help to get you guys a venue at Morehouse University, and we were able to have that program that included everybody. The Bambalais wrote a great piece as a guide to this. The letter, I remember the invitation letter to the opposition for that opposition summit was drafted by Karamba and was taken to the Gambia by Dr. Sen to all these parties, and then we worked real hard in collaboratively. We'll be DOI was able to raise their funds, UDP were able to raise their funds, but we worked with NRP to help them also raise enough funds so that they would send somebody to the conference. Before you know it, we had a full conference, and when we had that conference, we decided that Save the Gambia Fund would now be transformed into an organization. And that too, it was a big push and pull until the Atlanta folks who were mainly doing that were able to get that to where we agreed to a name, the Save the Gambia Democracy Project, which was launched February 18th in Atlanta, 2004. I remember we had the elections there, elected Keba Funa as the chair, and Fatou Jaumane, I think, was the deputy chair. And we started with that. And we were able to help in the establishment of NAD, which went to where it went, didn't go as we planned. And the struggle continued until Jammeh killed 12 prisoners. That was when every Gambian now knew that, well, all these people, what they've been talking about is not foolish, it's real. And 4 years later, he was out.
So, like, how did you guys feel, you in particular, being in this for a long time, when you started seeing everybody coming on board now? I mean, you guys have been doing this on your own. It was just you and a few other people.
Yeah.
But with the advent of these online radios and social media, that's when people started knowing what you guys were doing. Like, how did you feel when your work was, starting to be out there now? People are finally recognizing what you guys are doing.
No, it was great because we've always known that unless the struggle turned into a movement, we will not go anywhere. And it was great when everybody started paying attention. We used to go to protests. I remember myself, Osmenga, Sophie Sise, Karamba Toure, what you might call it, Fatou Jaumane, and Musa Jawaras of the world, Sol Sedikan. So you'll have a protest of 5 people, protest of 3 people, and people will say, "Yen da ngeen ñàkk a fayda." Ñi seen protest ñett rek ay ñëw. But we knew that it was important to have that. We would go and work with the people in New York, work with the Solmengas, the Yangs James, the Sihombalos, and all these people. And you'll go to your protest and then have 6 people. There was a time when we had 10 people, we were very happy. Why did you take 10 people and you would protest? And but the good thing is, even though we were not having those many people in the streets, and sometimes very horrible weather conditions. But Gambia L was there, Gambia Post later. There was another forum, Gambia Talk. We did not go long, and all these other mediums were there for people to connect. So people were, and then I remember we used to do a lot of petitioning. The Buhari Gazamas of the world and all these people used to draft these petitions to the United Nations, to the U.S. Congress, to the House of Commons. So we did a lot of work there. But definitely, when everybody became part of it, I'm like, you know what? The end is absolutely, absolutely very near. And this is where I would give credit to, what do they call them, the online media. Because definitely we had Gambia Journal. Gambia Journal, I think, was the first one that focused entirely on politics. But honestly, when Panderi decided that, you know what, now I'm going to open a radio, he was able to take it to another level. Because one thing that people will have to give him credit for, regardless of whatever they may say about him, is that his commitment, because he was so committed to it, and like 24/7. Because we used to do like a podcast. Pa came and make it into something live radio. Every minute Pa was on the radio talking. And people started now listening. Now, first of all, it's not only reading, but now they are hearing, okay, you know what, he killed this guy, and started bringing people who would come and say, you know what, I was there when this happened. So that helped. And now later the Gaina, because before Pa, you had Gambia, what's the name? Banjul Focus is called now, but I forgot the initial name that it had. Hello Gambia. So you had all these radios going, and then now Pa was able to move it from just what you might call podcasting to now a live radio program, the interviews happening there. So that was another level now with Gainako coming in and Fatu Radio coming in, you know, the Kibaros and the Kairos. So now everywhere you go, there was an online radio somewhere for people to listen to, and it helped to really educate the Gambians about our happenings in that country, and I think it has really paid off.
And then right after that, social media came in.
Yes.
The Facebooks. And I don't know if you're going to give me credit for this, but I was the one who first sent you the Facebook link on your email. I got him into Facebook. He will not probably give me credit for it, but I did. So now when Facebook came, and you have Twitter now.
Yes.
Where you can write things, and you are a very good writer. I will give you that.
No.
You know, but what impact did that make? You know.
Oh no, that took it to another level. Because now with Facebook, you know, Jammeh was able to block freedom on all these mediums. Sometimes people will not have access to it. But Facebook, every Gambian has a Facebook.
And YouTube also.
Yes, and YouTube. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. You got me into this Facebook thingy. There was another one that they used to have before. Facebook.
High
Five, and all those other crazy things.
MySpace.
But Facebook, like MySpace. Mm-hmm. And Facebook was something because it came at a time when Gambians were, you know, because you see the development of technology is something that is unprecedented. Mm-hmm. You know, we went through it the same time as the West went through it. Mm-hmm. So Facebook helped. Now every Gambian had access to Facebook. All you need is a smartphone. So everybody was seeing that. So to me, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to use my Facebook page as my political forum. So anybody, I don't care who you are, who requests me for friendship, I'm going to accept you. Because my goal was not anything but to make sure that you would hear what is going on and all that. So it helped. And you can see that with Facebook, with Twitter, and then Twitter, we took it to another level because like Tukulor C would say, the Twitter brigade, you know, when anything happens, he would come on Facebook and say, let's go to Twitter, the Twitter brigade. And then everybody, Fatu Kamarus, the Mama Lingers, the Musa Sisis, the Pate PJs, the Anti Umis, you name them, everybody was on Twitter. And it was through Twitter that we were able to get a lot of connections with a lot of people around the world. Up to now, every day I see here that somebody is following me, I'll check the person's profile, is maybe a journalist somewhere working with a human rights organization and all that. So that really helped. And then, of course, when WhatsApp came in the fray, then it was like something else, you know. And even if you look at the last elections, the job that WhatsApp, these voice notes did, you know, the Fatus would record voice notes. Everybody, the Bamba Mazis, everybody was recording voice notes that, you know, they were going from one area to the other, and it helped. So social media definitely was really the icing on the cake to Jammeh's downfall.
Definitely. I mean, now one thing about your activism, which is a little different from most other Gambians out there, your activism is not just for Gambia. Some of us who know you very, very well have seen you in protests for Palestinians, for Ukrainians, for all of these countries out there, you know, and I'm sure that may have come from somewhere else because knowing you very well, I mean, anytime you talk, you will quote people like Dr. Martin Luther King. You used to have a big poster of Thomas Sankara in your house.
Yes.
I don't know if you still have it. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about those guys? What impact have they had on you?
Great impact because what happened as a member of Amnesty International, you know that because Amnesty had this policy where if you are in the Gambia, you will not participate in a campaign in the Gambia about the Gambia because just for protection, but you'll engage in campaigns around other countries. So we used to write letters to other presidents asking for the release of prisoners and all these things. So that played a role. But when I came to the United States, one of the first things that I did, I was obsessed with the Eyes on the Prize. It was a series of videos that catalog the civil rights period. So I used to watch them to see what they used to do, to listen to the Dr. King speak, to see the Stokely Carmichaels, Kwame Torres, to see the Ralph Abernathy's, all these people who were part of this process. So it gave me a sense, and of course I read Thomas Sankara a great deal, and I think he was able to do a lot of stuff for that country in the 3 years that he was in president. I, of course, have my disagreements with him on some quarters, but I think generally he did a very great job for his people. But then I also was guided by something that King said, that is injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I believe that I cannot be fighting for democracy for Gambians and neglecting the dictatorship in another area. And being in DC, even in Minnesota, I was able to network with other people where we'll share ideas. And when I was in Minnesota, I was part of CPAM, Coalition Pan African Minnesotans. And what we used to do, we'll meet and discuss African issues in general. And that also helped in me being invited to churches. I used to go to churches in Minnesota to talk about the situation in the Gambia. I would be invited to churches and I would go there and talk about the situation in the Gambia. And this was the late 90s, early 2000s, to talk about the situation and all that. But I also understand that unless you have the help of everybody, you're not going to succeed. So that was why it was important to me to go to anti-war protests. Like the Iraq War, I protested it on the sub-zero degree weather because I think it was unjust, and the Palestinian issue, I believe it is unjust. So I have, and my partnership with Answer Act Now to Stop War and End Racism, who also played a very important role in our struggle because for I think since before 2005, almost every protest we do, I'll just call them and say, Sarah or Eugene or Brian, we going to organize a protest and we'll need your help. They'll ask me, okay, how many posters do you need? I say there's many. What are the slogans? I'll send them to them, and they will make posters for us free of charge. Sometimes they would even come and join us in our protest. The bullhorns. Do you need bullhorns? Yes. How many? We'll bring them. Sometimes they will send somebody to bring them to us at our protest. So meaning that you cannot fight for human rights in isolation. So if you want justice for Gambia, you must also want justice for Senegal. Because unless we all have the justice that we desire, we'll just have this vicious circle of tyrants. And what that will do is whenever your country goes under tyranny, you'll have nobody to stand for you because we'll have a country of tyrants.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now we have a new government.
Yes.
We are hoping that you will not protest for Gambia anymore. I don't know whether you've missed it yet or not, but it's been about 4 months you haven't protested for the Gambia. So hopefully we will not have to have a situation where you'll be protesting. So, but is this something that you're going to be continuing doing? Are you going to be continuing, fighting this fight, or do you think that now that we've had a regime change, you're going to tone it down a little bit and try to focus on some other things, or is it something that's just going to continue?
Well, it's going to continue because the work for human rights is not something that you just do and get satisfied and go. No government should be trusted entirely with your rights, whether in the United States or anywhere else. And I believe that citizens must always be very, very proactive in the defense of their fundamental human and constitutional rights. And I think what I would want to see is forced that Duga will be registered in the Gambia as a civil society organization that will work with Gambians. And the objective, as far as I'm concerned, should be to help people educate themselves to understand the politics, the value of politics, to understand that they must not just be followers, but they are the people, the kingmakers. They are the people who employ people into positions. The president is an employee of the people and not the other way around. And I believe that when people become politically conscious, and they are able to become architects of their own destiny, understand what is at stake, understand their roles, then we'll begin to have the democracy that we yearn for. Now, that doesn't mean that you are anti-regime or uh, a supporter of a regime. What is important is the best way to help any government that is in power is to keep that government in check. We are all humans. Your house here, if you can get away with it, you're not going to pay your bills. But you have to pay your bills. And sometimes you need somebody to remind you that, hey, you have to pay your bills or there are consequences. That's what it is. Now, if I'm president and people just leave me to chance and say, do whatever you want, chances are I will do what I want, not what the people want. I may do from time to time what the people want, but it will become a time where I will even forget who I am working for. And our role as a people is to make sure that whoever is elected as president, whether it is Barrow or whether it is Dabo or whether it is Sallah or Njai or Seka or Job or Mane or whatever, that what they would do would be in the interest of the Gambian people. And unless we achieve that, the work and the struggle continues. It may take a different shape, but it would be one that must continue. And yes, do I miss it sometimes? Unfortunately for me, I don't have to miss it because we have an idiot here in the United States called Donald Trump. And he has accorded us with all opportunities to go there and protest against him, justly so. But I want Gambia to have the culture of protest, not a bad way. But the reason why Senegal is very dynamic is that culture of protest that they have, where people understand what is at stake. They understand the role of a government and the role of the citizens to the extent that, you know what, they would go there and in accordance with the constitution, protest for their rights or protest for the needs that they have. Because when we have that, then we'll begin to have a country where the people will never be taken for granted.
Now, you made mention of Duga.
Yes.
You are one of the founding members of Duga.
Yes.
For the average Gambian out there who doesn't know what Duga is and what you guys do and how Duga came about, what can you tell them about Duga?
Duga is the Democratic Union of Gambian Activists. It was formed after Jammeh decided that he was going to kill 12 people. A protest was organized. We had a national day of outrage where protests were organized all over the world. And we did a very good job in doing that. I remember during that time working with Banca to talk to different groups. Then I got a call, if I remember very well, from Seifal of DC that, they were trying to organize. I said, well, great. We are also trying to organize something. So we worked together, organized a conference call that everybody attended. So we were able to have that protest in everywhere you can think about in the world. After the protest, we decided, you know what, maybe we need to structure this thing into a group that would, deal with these issues that we have. And we decided with Duga, the Democratic Union of Gambian Activists, which was established. And our role has been very important in that we established that we will not be associated with any political party. But we understand people's right to support parties of their choice. But Duga is not going to be supporting a UDP or a DOI or an NRP. No, that's not what we do. And we did a lot of stuff. We've organized a number of protests in this country. And we have a lot of people who are members of Duga, even in the Gambia, because we did a lot in the Gambia, some leafletings. We forced opposition in that country We did some voice recordings, and then we had these electronic radios that would be put in strategic places, and the radios would just play. And then we'll have leaflets all over the place, Jammeh must go and cataloging some of the crimes that he did. And that was the reason why one time they said that the military was going to engage in a set-settle exercise at night. They didn't want to see what was going on, but we knew that they were there trying to recover all these materials. And we also did other leafletings. Jammeh was supposed to go on a farmer store. And we did some leafletings in North Bank. And when they saw the papers, he got scared and they they postponed the trip for a day to make sure nothing was going to happen. And we had other operations in store that maybe will come out because we had Operation Tau. And that would have been something that was going to be very, very creative. And of course, we did Borbor. And you see, Borbor, interestingly, you know your grandmother, my aunt, we used to call her Borbor.
Bajan, yes.
Bajan Borbor. So when they listed the name, I say, what about we call it Operation Borbor? And everybody was here, great. So we went there to, and the Borbor thing, personally, that was why I really had confidence in Duga. Sorry about that. We conceived the idea in February of 2013. We did not execute it till October. And not a single Gambian outside of Duga knew about it. We made sure we kept it under wraps. We did everything. We had meetings with lawyers who advised us on the implications that you will be arrested. This is what may happen and all that. We devised a concept around it and asked among ourselves who can volunteer to be arrested. You know, we have people who have clearance at their jobs. Of course, we are not going to jeopardize that. And the three of us, we called ourselves the prisoner 35, 36, and 37 because that's how you're called when you're arrested. Sohna was 35, I was 36, Oz was 37. We decided, you know what, we'll do it. We scouted the area, we went and did everything. Maybe we'll eventually write a book about this whole thing. But we also had a very great support system because we had somebody like Jennifer Fall, whose job was to stay back, not to come to the protest, but to make sure that whatever happens, she was going to inform the whole world about it. You know, we had Seifals, we had Matar who was there to videotape, we had M, we had Buba and Lamin and everybody. You know, so it was a great operation, and of course we were arrested. But the goal was to be arrested because we wanted to further amplify this fight, bring it to a level where people will talk about it. And I think we were able to achieve that goal. We went to sleep. We were in jail for a day, you know, handcuffed. You're handcuffed like you've killed the whole of DC, you know. But it was definitely a great feeling. To me, that was one of the most satisfying moments of my life, even though it caused a lot of trauma because I did not tell Gigi anything that was going on. And she was called by somebody and said, "Oh, I think coach is arrested." She was, "What do you mean coach is arrested?" Well, I don't think it's a bad thing because I saw him in the pictures laughing while he was being
taken.
You know, that's how she knew about it.
Right.
Yadam didn't know about it, my daughter. She didn't care. Kine didn't know about it. And Kine, after when I came out, they showed me some of the exchanges that she had with people. She was really upset. You know, that I was arrested and all that because he thought it was something really, really serious and all that. But it is something that if I had to do it again, I would have done it again because I think it was necessary to do.
Definitely. And for the people who may not know what Operation Borbor was when you guys went and took over the Gambian embassy in DC.
Yes. That was, I think, October 9th, 2013. That was when we went and said, you know what, we got. And you see, that concept came from something that, that was done here in the United States by Randall Robinson and group. Because what they did was during the apartheid movement, they wanted to bring this idea of what is happening in South Africa to the living rooms of Americans. Because they knew that once the Americans know what was going on, they would turn their back to the Reagan policy at the time. So what they did, they arranged a meeting with the ambassador on a slow news day. I think it was Thanksgiving or one of those days. But when they went in, their goal was once we go in, we're going to tell them we're not leaving. And as they were doing that, they had already invited the media, and there was somebody outside who was communicating with the media about what was going on. So they were sitting there, and then the secretary came and told the ambassador, put the TV on, and there was a press conference outside of the embassy building. And what happened later was every day somebody was arrested. Members of Congress would come to that protest, get arrested. So eventually Americans started hearing what was going on. And now, when American media start talking about it, they are going to show footages of the atrocities. And it didn't take long for America to finally agree to impose sanctions on South Africa. And I believe that I credit that with eventually ending apartheid. And so we read, because when you are in this struggle, you have to read and learn from other areas. And we had a group of people who were very dedicated, the Sophicists, the Says, the Jainabas, the Hadis, and everybody. We are always doing research about stuff, knowing stuff, seeing how do we do it better and all that stuff. And it really paid off, definitely.
And right after that, not too long after that, you guys went to Senegal.
Yes.
And made a lot of noise over there with folks like Yanamar,
Yes.
Alutin of Amnesty.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
When we went, we decided that, we needed to internationalize this struggle. Even though a lot of work had already been done by other people, but one area that we believe we could make a great impact was Senegal. Even though our colleagues there, the Boa Baldes of the world and the others were there, but we went there and we met with almost everybody. And one of the meetings that we had was somebody who was very, very close to Maki, who was a friend of Maki. And the day that we met him, he came to us to meet with us. Now that everything is over, we can talk about some of these things. And when he came, that the same thing that he had on, because he was telling, Maki just left my house because of somebody died in his family. And the pictures the other day showed that the same thing he had when he met us was what he had in those pictures with Maki. So we met with all of them, and they understood what we were trying to do. So we were able to do a lot of things with some of these civil society groups. And it was a very hectic meeting. The whole thing was for 10 days. And we were meeting 3 times a day sometimes 4 times a day. Sometimes we'll have so many meetings that we'll divide it into 2 groups. Maybe Us and Sohana or Us and Hadi would go to one meeting. I would go with the other one to the other meetings. We did that. We had, front page the coverage of our activities in Senegal. Every day we were there and organized a press conference that was attended by a lot of media houses. And the good thing is, I think it was Sen TV that was there. At that time, the other one, the Senegalese TV that Yusundur owns, TFM had a problem, so Gambians were not able to see that. So the only TV that they could see from Senegal was the TV that we were on. So everybody knew about it. And we had a collaboration with Article 19, who helped in that trip in facilitating some of our meetings. But then we developed a very great relationship with Yanamar. And in fact, we're planning on organizing what we called a caravan. Because we are planning something that will be a caravan into the Gambia. That will be from Senegal, and what we wanted to do is to have the diasporans all come. We will be marching in the Gambia. If Jammeh was going to kill, he would be going to killing a lot of people. That was all things that we planned to do. And eventually all these things would come out. But Duga was not only for protesting, because we did a lot of stuff. We met with members of Congress everywhere. We've written to a lot of people. We've also donated to other causes. People will come to us and say, We want to go on this trip. We are gonna want to do this thing, and all this thing. Duga would donate to that. We want to hold a protest here. We want to hold a meeting here. We need your support. We'll do that. So we always made sure that whatever we did, that is not covert, that we will contact our colleagues and say, listen, we want to do this thing, and we want you to be part of it. And this is even what happened when we had the protest at Adams in DC.
Which is one of the biggest protests you guys have done.
Yes, what we said was, it's not going to be we are the host, Duga, but we want it to be everybody's protest. So we wrote to everybody and said, this is what we want to do. We want everybody to come. When we also took over, held Jammeh a prisoner in New York. Yeah, we went there, we stood there, we were like, few of us, before you know it, everybody came, and Jammeh was scared to come out, and I think that was the turning point, because Gambians for the first time were like, oh my God, not Jammeh, this person that everybody is scared of is scared to come out of his hotel because of few people. So these were things that we've done. But I think as a group, we've done a great job in collaboration with a lot of people around the world, a lot of Gambians and other organizations, definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, coming back to Gambia itself, December 1st,
yes,
election day. We were watching you Facebook Live, listening to you on Fatu Radio. You guys were on the radio all night as the results were coming in very slowly. You know, you and Musa Jeng, you know, who's a good friend of yours.
The old man, yes.
I'm not going to call him old, so, you know, but I know that you guys are really close. What can you tell us about December 1st?
December 1st was an interesting day. To tell you the truth, I was one of those who were opposed to going to elections without reforms. I'm not going to shy away from that. And Musa Jeng had been one person, I call him Mr. Elections, who always believed that, you know what, there is always a chance. And but I also knew that Jammeh was not popular. I always believed that. I believed that if the elections were ever free and fair, he would be defeated. And I believe this was the reason why he never wanted it to be. And when they appointed Mr. Jai as chairman, to me, it didn't make any difference to me. I was one of those who said that, you know what, there is no way that he would be honest about it, because he's been part of this for a very long time. Even though I had gotten assurance from his son, from his brother, that, believe me, he would call it as it is.
And this is Ali Momanjai.
Yes, but I never believed it. But, you know, of course, I called him later and apologized to him. I told him exactly what I said. I told him I was wrong. And, you know, but December 1st, it was a very interesting period. You see, as the election campaign went on, I kind of started having that, you know what, even if Jammeh wins these elections, Gambia has changed forever. That I always believed that. Interestingly enough, that morning I went to work, and all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I started having these chest pains that I never had before. I spoke to a doctor at my job, and he said, I don't think it's such a big deal. You know, made me do some of this crazy stuff and stuff. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just some crazy stuff. Then we went, of course, we were on the radio. Most people didn't notice that I was away for about 4 hours.
Yes, I realized that.
Because I was at the emergency room.
And you came with a different shirt.
Yes.
So I was thinking that maybe you went to sleep and came back.
No, I was at the emergency room. Because I was there, I started developing this chest pain. As the results were coming, I saw a pattern, and we were talking about it. I'm like, you know what, I don't think Jammeh is going to win these elections, because we saw a pattern developing. We were looking at the numbers. We were looking at the different constituencies before and then, and looking at things. I'm like, I think this is over. Then, of course, I made the mistake of telling Gigi that, oh, you know what, my chest is hurting again. She was, oh, no, we got to go to the hospital. I said, no, I'm not going to the hospital. Before I know it, she had called my friend Loom and said, you know, go. Or if you don't go, I'm going to call Buba. Buba is my other friend who would have driven from his house to come and pick me up and say, we have to go. I said, you know what, whatever, let's go. So, of course, I went to the hospital. They wasted my time there. There was nothing wrong. And I think it was just anxiety. Maybe for the first time I was feeling that, you know what, after all this is going to be over. And yes, coming back and realizing that Jammeh had lost. Apparently, there was a good reason why he made sure that we could not call the Gambia, because around 11 p.m. our time, they had already tallied the votes. They already knew that he had lost. Like, everybody knew. Like, because when I spoke to Halifa and them, That was the time they had already left where they were, went home, took a shower and came back because they knew that Jammeh had lost already. And of course, when he said that, when we got information that he was going to concede, it was a very, very emotional period. And I sat there and thought about that. I never thought in my life that I would see this period, because I was one of those who always thought that, you know what, there is a great possibility that Jammeh could be president as long as Mugabe is, because he was a young man. It was emotional, and I remember when Musa Jeng was talking and then mentioned Banka Mane, because this time Banka, who is a great friend of ours, was in jail. And he had to get up from the seat because he became emotional. I thought about it, it was like unbelievable. And then, of course, the calls started coming. And it really hit home. Your mom called. And then the phone rang again. I picked up the phone. It was my sister, Fatjao. And when she said, well, Pa, tey de ñeme naa laa call direct, te duma ci xalaat dara. It really brought it in, but it was like, it was like a very great period in our political history. And I think one period that will be talked about forever, because I don't think anybody saw it coming. Because even the coalition at one point, when I spoke to some of them, their focus was, you know what, even if we do not win, we can dominate the National Assembly, because that's what they are thinking were. But to see Jammeh defeated, and to realize that 60% of the Gambians who voted against him, because if you put Mama Kande and Barrow, that's over 60% of people who voted against him. So that he was totally rejected by the people. And to tell you the truth, I still think about it sometimes, and is still interested. And I cannot wait to finally go back home. When I see people go back home, when I saw Usain Omenga land at that airport, and see people come there and hug him, those who had been fighting this fight longer than anybody, whether the African American fight or the African fight or the Gambian fight, is like all fights and any fight. To me that was really gratifying to see Musa Jeng, post a picture saying that finally after 11 years he can go and pray at his mother's grave. To just see Esa Bokarsi recently, a picture of him at his mother and father's graves. To see all these people who've lost it, to see the Bamba masses of the world go to their villages and not have to worry about anybody arresting them or killing them. It's just gratifying, and definitely to see people who fought so hard for so long. To see Usainu Dabo come out of jail. Usainu, when I called Usainu, when he was out and spoke to him, it was nice to hear his voice as a free man in a free country. To see Halifa Sallah and Syria, who fought for so long, over 30-something years, for change. The OGs who've been arrested over 22 times. All these people that we've worked with, fought with, sometimes argued with, and all that. Now, finally, we were all jubilating, and we were jubilating one thing, Gambia, and it had become now cool to say that, where are you from, Gambia? Who is your president? Oh, he's Barrow, he's nice. No, who is your president, idiot? Or you're even, sometimes I used to run away from people when they say, oh, Yahya Jamba, your president. I didn't even want to hear that, because it used to piss me off.
Right.
So it was really a great feeling, and really I cannot wait to have an opportunity to go to the Gambia with my two girls and Gigi, so that we'll be able to. My daughter Yadam had never seen any member of my family in the Gambia except Jai, your mom, who comes and goes. So I would want her to go and finally see her nieces and nephews, and this may not have been possible without Jammeh being out of power. But we hopefully will never go back to the situation again.
Now, everybody listening to you, especially in Gambia, now that you said that you want to go back home, they're wondering when that will be.
Well,
So
I am not going to give anybody a date. To tell you the truth, I had planned on coming back to the Gambia exactly on the 11th of April. That was when I wanted to come. And the reason for that was the last time I left the Gambia was on the 10th of April, maybe the 10th of April or 11th. That's when I wanted to come. I left the Gambia on the 10th of April, 1995. So I wanted to come back to the Gambia on that very day, feel happy, kiss that ground again that I thought for a while that I would never see again. Hopefully, I'll at least live a few months and visit the Gambia. After that, I don't care if I die. But yeah, it's going to happen. Maybe sometime in December, I will definitely visit the Gambia and would have a chance to visit a lot of graves, unfortunately.
Yes.
My mom's Joga is Ablai Sekas, and a lot of people.
We've lost a lot of family members.
We've lost so many people that during this time, I sit here and just Jim Jau Ganyuna, Serinja Ganyuna, Jogai Ganyuna, Sayai Ganyuna, and the list goes on, like a lot of people who've died.
Yeah.
Sapa Ali, people just died. Sabajan Awajau.
The Choros,
the Chorombos, the Applies, the Awasos, and all these people.
Yeah.
These are families that you grew up with, but you cannot go and pay your respect. You know that your mom is sick, but you cannot go to visit. And even when you thought about it, she would tell you, no, don't come, because I don't want anything to happen. And you were like, okay, I don't want to go and get arrested, and that would really accelerate her condition to a level where she would have to just lose it, and you will be guilty for that. All these things happen. So hopefully we will all have the chance, all of us, to go and pay respect to people who have died and finally meet. I have a lot of nieces and nephews that I do not, well, I know them, but I've never seen them, maybe on pictures and stuff. But I want to go and hold my nieces and nephews. I want to go and hang out with them. They take me places that I do not know or heard about. Let's go here, let's go there. Or uncle, they don't call me uncle, just say coach. And all that, and
and he's a grandpa too.
You see,
so
all that crazy stuff, So it's really going to be a difficult one, because I know, man, when I landed in Senegal 2014, it was like I was home. I was so happy just to smell and Africa again. I was like, that was just enough for me. I want to have that open. Go to Serekunda market, Marsa Serekunda, just see people. Like I used to do when I went to Senegal, that's what I did. I would just go to the market there to just look at people going there. It was nice.
Oh yes.
But I'll go. I'll come. Gambia is my home.
Well, after 22 years, I'm pretty sure he may need a guide, to show him the streets of Serekunda and Banjul.
That's what I had. But you know what? I want to take myself to New Jeshwang, to our house first. If I get lost, then I will need a guide. Otherwise, I don't need anybody guiding me anywhere.
I mean, folks, we're talking to Pasamba Jau, coach, and we are about to come to the end of this program. But right after this, we'll be doing another one with him. I'm not even going to ask him. We're just going to do it just because I say it. We're going to be talking about Gambian music and Gambian sports right after this one. But before we wrap up, for some of you guys who may not know him on a personal level, somebody like me pretty much looked up to him all of my life. And I really didn't know him from the political point of view like most of you do. We are family. And one thing I can tell you about him, he's a very, very dedicated family guy. I'm here in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. He came to see me this weekend, also to be part of our North Carolina Gambian Association inaugural event for the Mother's Day today. And not just that, he's somebody that wherever his family is, he will make the effort to go see his family members, no matter where they are. Just a few months ago, he was at my sister's in Seattle. You know, so I mean, even our folks in the Washington D.C. area where he is staying, you know, he's always there. He's always, looking out for his family. You know, he is just somebody that we are really proud of as a family member. Somebody that like just like I said, we're just really proud of him as a family member, and for everything that he has done for his country. I mean, he's a hero in my opinion, and I'm sure most of you guys will agree with that. So, on that note, I would like to thank all of you guys for taking this time to listen to this interview with my uncle and my friend, Coach Pasamba Jau. We'll be coming right back with the second part of this. It's not going to be as long as this one because this one was just about him as the person. That's why we didn't go too deep into the political situation in the Gambia right now. We did a roundtable yesterday where we had him, Mrs. Ida Sise, Mr. Omar An, Mr. Makam Sow. If anybody wants to hear his views on what's happening in the Gambia right now, you can listen to that one. But this one was just to talk to him as Pasamba Jau, the person. For some of the guys out there who may not know who he is. So on that note, I would like to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this interview. Until we see you guys again, I'm your host, Pastor Seka. I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.